So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Richard Taylor. I'm back with a video, which I hope is taken in context. This video is about something that is very near and dear in the black community, and I'm talking about HBCUs, or historically black colleges and universities. And the reason I'm doing this right about now, I've been meaning to do this video, but the past few weeks there have been a significant amount of homecomings in the black college sector. So I know a lot of people hold their alma maters very near and dear to their spirit. And I want to shout out to all of those people who have attended HBCUs, have gone on to, get degrees and establish themselves as very productive citizens. I know that those institutions are very instrumental in the education and the preparation of a lot of people, namely black people, to go on and become successful in life. So I don't discount the value of these universities, but I do want to give some history upon them because it seems that we hold the perception that these institutions were started for our benefit, but also these institutions were started by people who look like us, hence the term historically black universities. But what I found through my research, that most of these universities were not started by people of color, and consequently, most of the revenue that goes from tuition and merchandise sales and all of those things and items don't go to people of color. So that begs the question is what truly is the purpose of attending an HBCU besides getting a great education? Now, anytime that I try to look at a subject, I always try to approach it from researching the origin of that subject. So I researched why historically black colleges and universities were started. And one source said, as many sources say, that they were started to provide undergraduate and graduate level educational opportunities to people of African descent. Now, that statement is also twofold and ambiguous because there were already universities that were in place to provide people with undergraduate and graduate levels of education. So what that tells me is these universities were started to keep people of African descent or people of color from attending the universities that were already set in place. The source goes on to say most colleges at that time were reserved for white male learning only, or white male students only. So looking at it logically, one would ascertain that these universities were started just to keep black students from attending colleges with white students. Because if the ultimate goal was to give black people a learn education, then they would have accepted them or allowed them to attend these already universities that were already established. So that is the first point, that these universities were started, I guess, with good intent, but also they were also started with the notion that blacks were not good enough to attend schools with whites. So that is why that they were started. HBCUs were started to pretty much keep black students from going to school with whites, but also give them a chance to obtain a higher education. So with that in mind, I once again want to look into the financial aspect. Who was benefiting from the establishment or the incorporation of these universities? So of course I looked up, some universities. Some of them were the first universities that were started. And then I looked up a lot of the current popular universities, at least in my state and in my circle, and people whom I have known to go to HBCUs. I looked up those universities. First, I looked up who founded the universities, but also I looked up who owned the university as well. Now, and I'm just going to run down a few of the lists real quick. Y'all bear with me so I can, just kind of make this point and, hope that the point is taken once again in context. But the first black university that was started was Cheney University. And I think that was in Philadelphia. And that was started in the year of 1837. Now, this surprisingly was started on the behest of one Richard Humphreys, who was uncharacteristically a black man who donated about $10,000 to get the university off the ground. And so that was one of the first, if not the first, black university that was started. But now I move on to the University of the District of Columbia in Columbia. Now, at the time that it was open, it was called the Minor School for Colored Girls. And that name, actually kind of says it all to me. But that school was started in the year of 1851. And that school was started by a Caucasian or a white woman named Myrtilla Miller. And that was started in D.C. in 1851. Also, I would move on to the Lincoln University. Lincoln University was started in 1854 by John Miller Dickey, who was also a Caucasian man. And he started that university, of course, under the guise of, making sure that, black people had a moral and ethical education. And also another school that was started right around the same time. These are about four of the first university, is Wilberforce University. Now, this university was started by the all-white Methodist Episcopal Church and is now ran and owned by the United Methodist Church. So as we see, only one out of the four first universities that was dedicated or designated for black students was started by a black person. And most of these universities were started by white people, which means the majority of the funding, tuition, and spending went to line the pockets, for lack of a better word, of the white people who started the university. Now let's go on to a few of these universities. Now these are a lot of these universities are well known in my state of North Carolina. I actually attended one, have friends and family that attended pretty much all of the schools that I'm about to name. But I just want to give you a historical background of these universities and why, that, we should maybe, I guess, reconsider the way we champion them. Once again, I know a lot of people are very proud of their alma maters. And, thinking of a black, historically black university, I'm under the impression, or I was under the impression that, yes, this university was started by black people. This is funding black organizations. The founders and their family are being able to pass down generational wealth. But my research has uncovered and undisclosed that this could be farther from the truth. And I'll start off with North Carolina Agricultural and Technical University in Greensboro, North Carolina. Shout out to all of the Aggies who once again used this school to propel them into their professions and their careers and made them a success. But unfortunately, the North Carolina A&T, which is the historically black college, was started by the North Carolina General Assembly in 1891. And so, once again, if this is a state, and most of these universities have a state moniker with them, so most of the funds and, the revenue and the increase goes to the state. Now, I'll move on to North Carolina Central University. Now, this was founded once again uncharacteristically by a black man, Mr. James Shepherd, in the early 1900s. Now, once again, the school was founded by James Shepherd, but now it runs under the University of North Carolina system, which means there is no one individual that attains the revenue for this university. All of the revenue and increase once again goes to the state. Now, I must admit, I did attend the University of North Carolina Central University, and I lasted a year, and but it was a very good experience, and I don't once again discount the college experience and what it prepares one's for life. Now, I also move on here to Winston-Salem State University, which my sister, Karen Taylor, is a proud graduate of. And, once again, that set her on a path where, she's doing marvelous and great things overseas in China. But, once again, Winston-Salem State University was founded by a white gentleman, Simon Atkins Green, in 1892. And Winston-Salem State University is also ran under the University of North Carolina system, which means, there is no individual black organization, family, business entity that owns this university, which reaps the benefit of so many black families and students pouring their money into this entity to prepare their children for a better life. And I'll move on to St. Augustine University. Now, St. Augustine was started once again by a white gentleman by the name of J. Brenton Smith. And this university was started by J. Brenton Smith, but also researched once again who owns the university now. So the university is now owned, because it is private, it is owned by the Atlas Partners. And of course, I had to look up the Atlas Partners. Now, the Atlas Partners are a private investment group located in Toronto, Canada. Now, this is a private investment group that specializes in high-end investments to, reap the best benefits and profits for their business. So, once again, and I don't know how many people know this information, but once again, while we are once again championing St. Aug as an historically black university, which it is, meaning mostly black people attend the university, but once again, most of the financial benefits that goes or that accrues from the enrollment of millions of black students over the years goes to this private investment group, which once again shows no signs of being owned by black people. If you understand what I'm saying, I hope I'm making sense with this information. I will also go to Shaw University, Henry Martin Tupper, once again, who was a white man, and this university is also a private, and it was started by the American Association for Baptist Churches, in which it is still owned and ran by. Now, once again, I didn't take the time to look up the Association of American Baptist Church. You can look that up as well, but I'm pretty sure that is not a black-owned entity, which continues the narrative of, every student who attends Shaw is spending their money, is getting those government grants with the great intention of getting education, but with the collateral intention of, once again, lining the pockets or enriching someone who is not black. And, once again, historically black universities, we attend those things because we feel and it uplifts the black race. There's something about these universities that's going to contribute to the black race on the back end. But if all these institutions are known or are owned by people who are not black, then, while we get the education, the financial benefits are reaped by others. But I'm going to continue on. Morgan State is founded by Thomas Kelso, another Caucasian brother, and now it runs independently and is governed and owned by a board of regents. Now, you can look that term up as well, but it's anytime we're talking about a board of regents and running independently, governed by their own board of regents, I doubt very seriously, and I might be mistaken. You can take the time to look it up if you want, but I doubt very seriously that there's a majority of black ownership on that board of regents. And we're going to go on to some more famous universities. Morehouse University was founded by Richard Cotier, William Jefferson White, and Edmund Turney. All of those are Caucasian brothers, and that university is continued to be ran privately as well. So if this organization or this university was started privately by those three white men, I'm pretty sure that they've left the lineage, or they left the reins of the hymn to that university to their offspring. So once again, millions of black people have used that university. Millions of dollars has been spent by the state or by scholarship funds with the intention of educating black people. But once again, where does those funds go on the back end? Do they benefit black organizations, families, or entities? And in this case, once again, we see that it does not. Let's move on to Clark Atlanta University. Clark Atlanta was also started by the United Methodist Episcopal Church when it was started, and today it is still ran by that Episcopal Church. And I'm pretty sure if you look up, the United Methodist Episcopal Church, it's probably not owned, ran, or operated or incorporated by anybody of color. We'll go on to Howard University. Now, Howard University, I knew this as well by the great researcher and historian Dick Gregory. Howard University was started by General Oliver O. Howard. Now, General Oliver O. Howard was famous and notorious for killing Indian women and children during the early wars. So this is a gentleman that we've named that university after. A lot of, once again, successful black people have attended this university, but also this university was chartered by the U.S. Congress. So once again, it was not started by a person of color, and most of the proceeds from these universities will go to people that are not of color. And once again, maybe this does not matter to many, but once again, when we're talking about things that we hold dear, we have to hold them dear more than for just a symbolic victory, or a symbol, a token of symbolism that, hey, I attended a historically black university. But if the same people who own the historically black universities are the same people who own the predominantly what they call them PWI, predominantly white institutions, then why are we not just as happy when someone graduates from Harvard rather than Howard? Why is that seen, I guess, more sought after in the black community to go to a HBCU in some circles than PWI? And I will go once again to another school that is dear to my heart, because that is Hampton University in Hampton, Virginia, which my sister is a proud graduate of the Hampton Pirates, and also my niece is a proud graduate of the Hampton Pirates. And my sister has gone on with a great career in the pharmaceuticals industry. My niece, as well as currently in law school at Emory. She actually reached out to me last night to help her with this paper. So when she get that law school that firm started. I mean, I'm gonna need my backpack. But that University Hampton was started by once again another white gentleman, Mr. Samuel Armstrong. Um, and I did not find any information on who runs it now. But I'm pretty sure, once again, as if a university is started in that manner, I don't think that the reins will be uh, shifted over to someone who looks like me in that manner. The last two is Norfolk State University, which was started by Winston Douglas, and Elizabeth City State, which was sponsored by Hugh Cole. He sponsored the bill that ran through the House, and Hugh Cole was a black man as well. But once again, we see that Elizabeth City State University is part of the University of North Carolina system. So, and these are just, 10 or 15 other universities that came to mind when I was doing some research. But as we see, about only 2 or 3 of these universities out of the 15 were started by black people. And so, once again, the reason I am making this video is because we put a lot of stock in, the HBCUs and why you should go to HBCUs. The subject came to mind when we were talking about, or a lot of people were talking about Deion Sanders leaving the historically black college of Jackson State University to move to the Colorado University, which is a predominantly white institution. But as you see from here, it does not matter, what the name of the school is or who attends it most, if most of the proceeds, most of the revenue from tuition, sales, football, advertisement, homecomings, all of the revenue does not go to anyone who is black. So what in totality are black people gaining from attending these universities besides a great education, which is irreplaceable, which is invaluable, invaluable. Just mentioning my two sisters and a lot of other people who have gained education from these places. It can't be measured, the impact that it has had on many of the lives, but just due to the fact that they were started basically to keep black people from going to school with white people, I don't think that it is something that should be celebrated, because what we're really doing is celebrating segregation, celebrating discrimination, celebrating stereotypes that blacks are not good enough to go to school with whites, and so on and so forth. But also we are celebrating, once again, financial discrepancies and where that money goes. It doesn't matter if we call it a HBCU, if the black community is not benefiting of it. The state gets the money, or these private entities, these private churches, these private non-profit get the money, and they do what they want to. Many times, or may not times, I haven't researched who donates what and who endows what, but we don't know if this money that is spent, the millions and trillions and billions of dollars that is spent going to these universities that are owned by business entities or individuals or families or nonprofits who are not African American, what are they doing with that money? Are they funneling it back into the African American community by way of resources, plans, building, or are they just taking it and setting up nest eggs and doing other things that may not be beneficial for the black families who have worked and split their blood, sweat, and tears to put these children to these schools, in which many people maybe this is some new information to you. It definitely it wasn't new because just something in my mind always looks beyond, what it seems to be. Like these are some great historically black universities, but who owns them? Who owns them? And that's what really matters to me. Maybe it does not matter to you. And once again, I know that this probably is an emotional topic. So, if you guys want to comment or, give me some flack, I expect that because I know these things are emotional, especially when people have invested so many years of championing these organizations, representing these organizations, and, to maybe find out or even have it pointed out to you that most of these universities are not owned by black people, then that may be, a blow to, your foundation. It's sort of like my brother who was writing a book about, the school he went to in Reedsville. And when he heard about, the name of the owner or the school or the man that the school was founded by, when he found that he was a racist and owned slaves, it hurt him to the core. He said, all my years of high school, I rode around representing this Reedsville High, good on my chest and playing football and basketball and, so championed this school when all the while this man would probably not want me to go to his school. Now, I'm not saying that, none of the founders of these universities thought like that, but I know how, once again, information or something that kind of disagrees with the common perception can garner some kinds of emotions of, offense or things. So I'm not doing this out of offense, but I just want people to think and want people to know that, okay, what is the difference between going to a black university if it's owned by white people, and then rather, going to a white university, which is still owned by white people? Why are we saying historically black college and universities? What does that mean? Do we mean it's founded by black people, or is it founded for black people by white people who may have had sinister intentions, or just wanted to get in on get in, this is the new hustle, like the mental health hustle now. Okay, well, everybody's opening black colleges for the black people to go to school since they're out of slavery. Okay, let's open it up us one and get some of this government grants, get some of this government money. If that's the case, once again, it may have backfired on them because a lot of people, once again, have used those organizations to establish a wonderful life. And so, I definitely want to once again congratulate all of those people who have attended these organizations or any college, therefore, you know what I'm saying, and who have made significant strides in your family. Maybe you were the first one to graduate, all of those accomplishments. My hat goes off to you because once again, I didn't make it but a year, but I did my education, in a few other places, and I think I've done well as far as educating myself. But nevertheless, once again, you can't discount what the black colleges and the white colleges have done. So if anything that I said in here needs correction, my style. My number is 919-587-7782. You can get at me directly. Any contradicting opinions, anything you want to add, anything you want to clarify, anything I may not know about how this system works. I just did a couple of hours of research on this topic. So I don't claim myself to be an expert on how this funding works and where the money goes, but to my once again, my 2 hours of research allows me to know that most of these black colleges were not founded by black people, excuse me, and only founded for black people, with monetary gain possibly being the only reason. But peace and blessings. Once again, shout out to all of my graduates of those HBCUs. I won't shout out the HBCUs because once again, how are they different if they are owned by, the same people that own PWIs, if that makes sense. But peace and blessings. I'm out, and y'all have a good evening.